Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, damsels and dingbats, to another episode of Stranded Deep. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to take a break from the monotony grind, and we're going to take a look at some footage that I've recorded of different animals I encountered in the game. I did record it. I wasn't recording it like I wasn't doing narrative over the top of it or anything, so I'm going to have to do a narrative over the top of the video as it goes now, and I apologize if it's a little awkward. I'm not very good at this post narrative stuff, but without any further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it here. So the first thing we're looking at here is the Meg fight. This is one of the three bosses that you need to defeat to beat the game, quote unquote. Now, each of the bosses gives not only a trophy you can hang on your wall, but they also give one of the parts that you need for the airplane for the end game if they ever institute it on the PC here. Now, to me, in my experience, the Meg fight is the easiest. All you have to do is stay on your boat and harpoon him down, and as you can see, I'm using refined harpoons. He doesn't, to my experience, have anything special that he does. You might have some problems if you're on a smaller raft. I imagine he's pretty good at flipping the smaller rafts over, but my raft's so freaking big, I really don't worry about that much. The only time I've ever seen my raft flip is when I'm doing something stupid with it. So this fight, I pretty much just stay on the boat and grind him down. You can get in the water. He does behave very similar to the other predatory sharks, as far as I can tell. Now, I haven't done any research on this online. I've beaten him a few times. It seems a lot easier than I remembered it being. I remember the first time we went out, when they first released these bosses, and he was a nightmare. But there's a lot of differences between then and now too. Like last time I was just using regular spears. Now, forgive me if my information's wrong, but as far as I understand, regular spears do 10 points of damage, whereas these refined spears do twice as much. So, of course, it takes half as long. Now, I was hoping to get in and grab him. I didn't realize he despawned like that. I was hoping I could get in and grab him and put him on my boat and use him as a trophy. At worst case, I was hoping that I could at least get my spears back. Unfortunately, neither of those is possible. So, this is the giant eel. Now, similar tactics, but in order to instigate this fight, you actually need to hop off the boat and go down underneath my thing here. It looks like a wrecked battleship, part of a wrecked battleship, and you need to approach that hole there to actually bring him out. If you just sit on your raft, he won't come out. So I guess his special mechanic is that he can jump and take you off your raft, and I think I saw him jump a couple times, but he's never taken me off the raft. I don't know what effect he would have on a smaller raft. It looks like he just clipped through mine. So again, I'm using refined spears, and I'm fighting from the boat. And it seems like it took a little bit longer than the Meg, but it wasn't anything beyond what we're already familiar with. I mean, he did like to hide under the boat, so I had to go in a couple times to kind of draw him out, figure out where he went. And as you can see, he does move pretty quick. So if you're not quicker, he will grab you and drag you a ways. But again, as you can see, you know, it's not that bad. Now, the thing you need to keep in remember, the thing you need to remember during these fights is not only to make sure you have enough ammunition, but make sure you bring some bandages, either in your inventory or on your raft. Now, I happen to keep a supply on my raft at all times. I just don't ever remember where the hell they're at. The reason why is because if any of these critters get a hold of you, they can cause the bleed effect. And if you've had any experience with the bleed effect, you know you want to get rid of that as soon as possible. It's just like being poisoned. The longer you have it, the harder it's going to be to get rid of it and to recover from it. So keep your bandages on you. And if it gets a hold of you, you can just... You don't even have to check to see if you're bleeding, because the bandages won't allow you... Well, on the PC. I don't know about the Xbox. But the bandages will not allow you to use them if you're not bleeding. So just, if he gets a hold of you, get back on the boat, pull out the bandages and try to use it. You only need one to stop a bleed, so it's a safe practice to get into. Now, you can see he's taking a little bit longer than the Meg, like I said. I don't know if it's because he's got more hit points, or if I'm just, he's hiding under the boat more than the Meg was. But it looks more like a freaking porcupine than an eel. Again, I tried to recover some of my spears. I tried to grab him, and it just immediately spawns out. This gives the engine part. I believe the Meg gave the foot pedals. I think. We'll see here in a minute. Now this, in my experience, is the hardest fight in the game. This is the giant squid. Again, like the eel, you can't just sit on your boat and wait for him to come to you. And you can't... the Meg, all you have to do is get close enough and throw a spear at him, and when you hit him, that'll activate the encounter. This one here is like the eel. You actually have to get off the boat and get close enough. It's kind of a mix between the two. You can approach him, but he won't activate until you hit him with a spear. So you have to hit him with a spear like the Meg, but you have to go off your boat to be able to see him in the first place like the eel. So at this point, this is the last fight. I was out of refined spear. I was really low on refined spears. I did not have the materials at this time to make more, but I had a lot of sticks and I had stockpiled. I knew I was going to need a lot of ammo, so I made sure to bring plenty with me, and that did make this fight considerably longer. Another thing that made this fight longer is this squid's special attack is that it will shoot out its tentacles while you're on your raft, and it will wrap around you and yank you off of the raft and throw you away from the raft, or it will grab you and haul you off like it's doing here. And then, of course, you got to swim back to your raft or brave fighting him in the water. And I would not suggest fighting him in the water. I wouldn't suggest fighting any of them in the water. It just doesn't make sense. But, I mean, if you're badass, go for it. Have lots of bandages. But as you can see, these tentacles give him a rather significant advantage. See, he just grabbed me and yanked me off the boat. And that's quite a distance to have to get back to the boat when you got a big-ass pissed-off squid chasing you. And occasionally, if you see, I like that. I was just going to say, if you watch, when he gets pissed off, you can see his tentacles whipping past. Now, I'm lucky because I have a big boat, a big raft. So I have room to maneuver and move back and forth. And keeping moving helps a lot in this fight. If you have a raft this long that you can run back and forth on, keep moving, and that way his chances of snagging you with those tentacles, he's more likely to miss than not. So run back and forth, keep moving, spear him down. Remember to keep your bandages going, and try to use the refined spears if possible. I used to use the harpoon guns, but they just did not, even though they fire pretty quick, they just did not seem to have the damage. To my experience, by my feel of the game, the refined spears are the best weapons to use in these fights. You definitely probably don't want to try to melee these guys down. For those of you unfamiliar with the word, melee means to fight in close quarters, like with your axe or your fists, or your knife. Probably not a good idea to attempt that with these guys. Now, a little side note for those of you unfamiliar with the game. You noticed on each of these fights, when I got close, it showed me their name. That means that the boss encounter has been activated. Now, sometimes, like with the, each of the monsters, you actually have to physically activate by attacking them or approaching them. But I guess the instance, for those of you familiar with MMO terms, the instance of the encounter is active. If you get on your boat, say for example, if I ran out of spears at this point, and I had to get on my boat and go back to another island to make more spears, then I have left the instance or the area. When I come back, it's going to reset. So all of his hit points come back, all of the, so you want, when you go into these fights, to make sure that you can minimize your need to leave as much as possible. I even freaking had logs. But yeah, his favorite tactic is to drag you off the boat, maul you up really good, and he hurts. I'm not sure what I'm looking for at this point. Probably more bandages. And I realized it's not going to happen. And so I just committed. And it'll just be a moment or two here, and I'll finally have him finished. But yeah, once you finish the 3 bosses, like I said, you get a trophy. Now, in order to get those trophies physically in the game, you need to go into your crafting system and go to story. And then you will see the trophy plaque in there. And if you click on it and activate, like you're going to craft it, then it will give you the physical representation in the game. You can hang those on your walls. Now, I did notice a couple times during this fight that he got really, really pissed off. I mean, look at those tentacles, man. They're just fucking flailing everywhere. I didn't even bother going into the water for this one, I don't think. Because at this point, I realized that I'm not going to be able to get anything off of him physically. And I recognized that I was needing more. So yeah, the first one gives you... The Mega gives you the foot pedals. The Squid, I think, gives you the propeller. And I forget what the other one... Anyway, what this is on the way back to my home island, I encountered one of these goblin sharks that like to chase the boat. And I recognize that it's smaller than the tiger shark, smaller than the hammerhead, so I was thinking maybe I could actually get it on my raft. I did not have a spider shark, or I did not have a spider shark / goblin on my island yet. So I figured since he was here, I would go ahead and stop and haul him back. I got him on the boat okay. It didn't flip the boat or nothing. I had to stop a couple times because as the raft would move, the swells of the waves would kind of move him back and forth like he was walking along the raft, and I didn't want to lose him. So I had to stop a couple times to re-secure him, but for the most part he didn't offer up too much fight. And of course, once I got him back, I had to spider shark him. You'll see him hanging out on the island in the next episode. I'm going to try to... This is actually one of the last videos I'm putting together for the season. I'm using old footage, but earlier in the season I was talking about the video and I mentioned that I would probably post it before that one. So I need to go oblige myself and figure out which one of those videos it was and actually post this up before that. So hopefully I get that done right. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, this is one of the creepiest, most hellish sharks in this game. Like, none of the other ones are even remotely... I thought his jaw was just hanging open like that because of the way he was laying. But apparently that's just the way it's modeled. But you'll see here in a minute when I stand him up. This guy is just... He's got a face even his mama couldn't love. No wonder he's called a goblin shark. You saw that coming at you in the water. And maybe you'd get lucky and he'd hit you with the nose and push you out of the way of his teeth with his nose. But them freaking, my God. Yeah, so that's where I got him. You'll see, like I said, you'll see him in later episodes. What do we got next here? I think I found the tiger shark. Every time, or the tiger shark, excuse me, the whale shark. Every time I'd come through this part of the water, this whale shark would come play with my raft. And I finally decided on one pass that I wanted to try and get some footage in the water. And my stepson, when I first saw this guy, he scared the piss out of me. I was like, what the hell is that? I didn't immediately recognize it. It was just this massive shape in the water. And I pointed it out to my stepson, and he used to be really big into the marine biology stuff. And, of course, he recognized it immediately. He's like, those are harmless. I was like, yeah, but I can't guarantee that the people who made the game know that. And I don't want to go in the water and get eaten because it's not as harmless as it's supposed to be. Well, it turns out it's really freaking harmless. I was having problems getting close enough to it to get some good footage of it. It was more curious of me, but it wouldn't let me get too close. And I guess that would be realistic. And, of course, once I was able to finally get my mouse over the creature, I could confirm that it was, in fact, a whale shark. When I first spotted it earlier in the season, I couldn't get the mouse over it because I was at the rudder on the raft. And, you know, when you're using that, you can move the camera around, but you can't highlight over things. So I wasn't able to get a good ID on it the first time. So, but yeah, that was fun. I got a little footage. As you can see, he just floats around the boat, or she. You know, I didn't see any paraphernalia, but that's not saying anything with sharks, I guess. So, next, and my favorite, the whale. Now, I was so happy to see that they brought the whales back in this game. The first time I saw them, it was at night. And I kind of hung out and watched them for a little bit, but when I went in the water, it was so dark I could not. I think I got one frame of his big old eyeball looking at me. You know, very cliche, like in the movies. But I wasn't happy with it, so I went and docked up. I camped the night at that island over there, and I kind of tried to remember where he was. And I came back out during the day, and I was hoping to get some more footage of him. And I hung out here for a while, and I wasn't seeing him, and I was wondering, did he move on? Do they go down during the night? You know, where is he? And then I felt my raft jostle. Now, nothing in this game to this point has jostled this raft. I mean, even the great, you know, the bigger sharks, the tiger sharks and whatnot, even the Meg, when it hit the raft, you'd hear a thud, but the raft didn't move. So when the whole raft moved, I knew something was going on. And sure enough, he decided to come up and say hi, and he was very curious. And I was afraid he was going to flip the raft over. But I actually managed to get in here and get some good footage of him, and just a big old handsome water puppy he is, yes. But he and I played for a while. He pushed the boat around, and he'd clip through it, slam his tail down on it. He almost knocked it over a couple times coming up from underneath it. He was using it like you see dolphins in the aquariums, like in the old aquariums where they bring them out to show them to the public, and there's a big old tummy. But anyway, he was playing with my raft like it was a ball. And so I hung out with him for a little while so I could get some footage of him here, but eventually I had to move on. I haven't seen him since. Like the whole rest of the season, I didn't see him again. So I don't know if I just managed to miss him, like he's the only whale here. And on the whole map, he was the only whale, and after this, I just never managed to go through his area again, or what the deal was. But at least I got the footage. That made me very happy. I am ecstatic that the whales are back. I remember when I first started playing this game several years ago, they had whales. They had the whales. And then they were just gone. They just took them out, and nobody knew where they went. And everyone suspected they probably just removed them to do work on them and make room in the biomes for other creatures and whatnot. And they have added several things since then, like the goblin sharks. I don't remember the goblin sharks. I don't actually remember the whale shark either. I don't know how long that's been around, but anyway, I just wanted to show some footage to you real quick of some of the critters I've encountered, but we are going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So until next time, you guys stay safe and have fun. I'm out.